Dear students, welcome to my channel. Now I am going to discuss about software requirement document, or we can call it as software requirement specification, that is called SRS. What is meant by SRS? It is the format, as the name suggests. It is a complete specification and a description of the requirements of the software that are used to need to fulfilled by the successful development of any software system. So here, which can be divided into two types, those are called functional and non-functional requirements. So whereas functional requirements are also known as here, which defines the functionality of the entire system or functionality of the system services. So whereas coming to non-functional requirements, which defines the system properties and constraints, that is, which defines the quality attribute rather than the functionality. Whatever the system it is, it bases on the performance or reliability or any other constraints. So, which always looks into the quality rather than the functionality of the system. So these are the characteristics of SRS. So completeness, correctness, consistency, unambiguous, ranking, modifiable and traceable. So here completeness, the requirement should be gathered completely and that should be correct also, so then only we are going to develop any software product in an efficient way. So while taking the requirements, it should be consistency and unambiguous, means here we should not have any confusion while taking the requirements. So ranking for the improvement and stability while taking the requirements, and it should be modifiable and then it should be traceable. And those who are going to involve this in SRS is nothing but here the users or clients or stakeholders are going to involve, and then project managers are going to involve, and system developers are going to involve in that, and test engineers are going to involve in the SRS. So, what is the purpose of SRS document? Need of SRS document. It structures and formalizes all the project requirements in detail, and it is used to meet exact customer needs, and we can avoid the misunderstanding. So, because here we are documenting each and every requirement, and we can define the scope of the work clearly, and we can estimate the budget also. So, these are the needs of SRS document. So, this is the template of SRS according to the IEEE standard. So, here the document title, and then the authors in the sense who are going to involve in that, and affiliation and address, date and document version. This is the template for the SRS. And structure of SRS is known as, which consists of some parts like introduction part, overall description, like system requirements, like that. So in the introduction, so we need to define purpose, intended audience, scope, definition, and references. So, what is the purpose of the particular project? What is the purpose of each requirement? We need to define who are going to involve in that, and what is the scope, and what is the definition, and what are the references from the older projects. So overall description. Here subtopics are like user interfaces, system interfaces, software and hardware requirements, constraints and user characteristics. What are the user interfaces that we need to define in the project? What are the system interfaces? What are the software and hardware requirements? that are used to develop any software product, what are the rules and constraints, and what are the user user characteristics. And then finally, we have system features and requirements. So, here we are going to define what are the functional requirements, what are non-functional requirements, what are the diagrams that we are taking, like use case diagrams or class diagrams or sequence diagrams, and what are the external interface requirements, what are the database that we are taking. So, functional requirements always focuses on the functionality, means what the system has to perform, and non-functional requirements always focuses on the uh, performance of the system. Whatever the software product it is, it looks into the performance rather than the functionality. So finally, we are getting the approval for deliver. So from the customer we are getting the approval. So if the customer wants to change any requirement, then they have to do all those changes in the document. If the customer satisfies, then this document is going to send to the designer team. So without SRS, what are the problems that they face? Like without developing any SRS document, the system would not be implemented according to the customer requirements or a customer needs. And the software developers would not know whether what they are developing is what exactly required by the customer. So, without SRS document, it will be very much difficult for the maintenance of engineer to understand the functionality of the system. So, that is why SRS is very important in order to gather the requirements, in order to gather each and every requirement on the document. Thank you.